Well, good morning, afternoon, or whatever it is you're having. It's Transformation Tuesday once again. My name's Judy Matejcek, Life Mastery Consultant and World Class Paradigm Shifter. So, yes. And I love Transformation Tuesday because in Paradigm Shifters, we are dedicated, global, growing. How's that, Lin Yuan-Su? We are growing and growing
Absolutely.
and dedicated to shift and uplift the planet.
Absolutely. And that's what we're doing together as a team, one
Amen.
person at a time, one paradigm at a time.
Yeah, so we started this in March of 2020, and we've been coming every Tuesday with topics and guest speakers since 2020. And so each month we have a different topic. And in 2024, September, our topic this month is standing firm when your world is shaking. So let me do a little recap of where we've been, and we are in week 3 now of this curriculum because the content of our lives is the curriculum of our
Evolution.
I knew you were going to say that. Okay, so here we go. So when we find our world is shaking, one of two things will happen. Either our ego will make a victim story about what happened, or we will frame the situation in a way that is empowering to us. If we let our ego attribute blame to ourselves or others, we're most likely thinking about the circumstance as if it is happening to us. Now, when we approach the difficulty from the mindset that this dark time is happening to us, the general feeling tone of that experience is victimhood. So as long as we're a victim, to that experience, we're going to amplify that victim status and put all of our energy there and extend that victimness over and over and over. So we're talking today about choosing an empowering perspective about a dark time in your life. And the first week where we were looking at content and last week we talked about the departure phase and then the initiation, and then when we return, we're returning from that shakingness as a whole new person.
Hmm.
And so that's where we are tonight. So choosing an empowering perspective is what this is all about. To take this higher perception, you stand firm on this foundation that there is nothing outside of God's good. This means there's nothing outside of a circle. This too can be used to move me forward. It's part of my past. So I love that. So remember, unless you have some things to surmount that look bigger than you, I love this line, you will never know that you are bigger than them. So what you want to do is neutralize the emotional charge by discovering the gifts and learnings that it's come to give you. So that's where we are now. And it is my extreme pleasure to have as our guest, Lin Yuan-Su.
Amazing. It's absolutely an honor and privilege. I'm just so happy to be here and sharing my story and sharing what I've learned through the entire process. And in reflection of what you're teaching, Judy, is so powerful and so good and needed.
It's all yours. Take it away. Tell
Thank
us.
you.
Yeah.
I would love to take you, Judy, and your audience on a little story. I live in London, Ontario, Canada, which is if you imagine just picture the map of Canada. I'm on the very south bit, but still it's very cold. It's very during the winter time. It was January 21st, 2011. So over a decade ago. We just had some major snowstorm. So every single house has a big snow mountain piled somewhere on their property. And it was cold. It could be minus, 10 or 20 degrees Celsius, whatever the Fahrenheit that is. But it's cold, period. I found myself standing right in the snowbank, bare feet, with holding my little dog, my puppy. His name was Parko. He has since made a transition. He was shaking. I was shaking and confused. And my belongings were all over the place in the snow. My computer was crashed somewhere on the ground. There was a suitcase. I had a small suitcase that was the content was all over the place. And I had nowhere to go other than in my car. Thank goodness I found my car key on the ground. I grabbed it. I got into my car. My husband's car was right behind me at the back. Back then, he was my boyfriend. I was dating him, and his house was shares a driveway with his neighbor. So his neighbor's van was right there. My car was closest to the house, and then that was his car, and there was another car behind him. I couldn't get out because I was being blocked by all of those cars. Got into my car, started it. At least I'm not in the minus 10, 20 wind chill situation anymore, but I could feel my dog was still shaking, and content was still being constantly throwing onto my windshield. My windshield was completely crashed. So if you felt like, oh my God, is this a Mission Impossible movie? No, it's not. I was being physically assaulted by my boyfriend at the time, his ex-wife. So what went down was when my husband and I started dating, he had been separated from his ex-wife for 5 years. They had never went through the divorce process. My husband still live in Linda, Ontario, Canada, where we live. And his ex-wife decided to take their daughter to move to Toronto, Canada, which is about 2 hours away. So that morning, what happened was I was spending some time in his house. That house was his, as she had moved to Toronto. And she showed up unannounced because a few weeks before that point, my husband had just brought up, let's just finish this separation. Let's go for divorce. It's not making any sense for us to keep holding this formality. And then later on, she found out the reason my husband had brought up after 5 years of separation was because I showed up in his life, brought a very different things. We want to have our own life now. He finally had a reason to move on. She was not very happy. And therefore, that morning, she showed up unannounced. It was a Saturday. I had just taught a fitness class. So I was all sweaty and wearing my a workout gear and a bathrobe on top of that. That was it. So that was the reason I was, he physically assaulted me, pushed me, let me correct that, tried to push me down a flight of stairs, but I was very fit. So she actually bounced back. Now I can chuckle about it. Regardless, that was such an interesting event that I had never experienced in my entire life. A physical assault done by a stranger, your stuff is all over the place. Eventually, the neighbor that shares the driveway came out, and he's a very private, reserved guy, barely talks, and he just said, I'm going to move my car so you can get out, because he saw the situation. And he did that, and I maneuvered my car just enough, scratch it at multiple points on the wall, but finally I got out. While he was doing that, the other neighbor came out and asked me, do you want us to call the police? I said, the immediate reaction I said was, please do not do that. And they were confused. And I said, because their 11-year-old daughter is also in that house. This is enough poo-poo for her to witness. I cannot bear the thought for her to witness her mother being handcuffed and being taken away by police. She had physically assaulted me, trashed a whole bunch of stuff in the house, physically assaulted my husband. And I escaped with my dog. I didn't feel anything until 3 days later. It was a Saturday. Sunday went like nothing. Monday went like nothing. I went to work just like nothing ever happened. I didn't feel anything. I was working in a health center. The social worker I was working with saw the bruises on my arm and all the marks, and she thought it was domestic violence. So she took me back into by training. She saw a red flag. She said, "What's going on? What happened? Why do you have bruises?" I told her the story like it was somebody else's story, because I still at that point haven't felt the impact on me yet. I was like, yeah, this happened, this crazy, woman, and she did this and whatever. And her eyes just went bigger and bigger and bigger. She said, "Lin, you got to file a police report." That never crossed my mind. Including the moment when the neighbor walked out, say, "Do you want us to call the police?" I knew it's like, no. She said, she insisted, my coworker, the social worker, insisted, "You got to file a police report and you got to call the victim support. You got to get help for yourself. You are going to experience PTSD." I was like, what does that stand for? I didn't feel the impact. This was the Monday. Tuesday morning, got up, regular day, getting ready, doing my makeup. In the middle of my makeup, I think I was doing my eyebrows or something like that. I stopped and I started to scream. I start to cry. I start to shake. I start to curse. I start to get onto the floor and got into a fetal position. I felt all of it. The anger, the fear, the frustration, all of it. By this point, I was in my own apartment. Like I shared with my roommate, but my roommate was traveling internationally, and my husband was there because he didn't want to get into that house at that moment, and he got scared too. He's like, "What's going on?" And I said, "That woman got to pay. I'm going to file a police report. She's going to go to jail. I don't care. It's not right." And my husband paused for a very brief moment, and then he said, "Okay, you do whatever is right for you." I could sense the hesitation. I said, "Why are you hesitating?" I was angry because I was like, "Are you not happy that I'm going to file a police report against your ex-wife?" And he said, "No, it's because I'm thinking about my daughter." Because my husband at this point was still a permanent resident of Canada. He hadn't joined the citizenship yet, nor did his ex-wife and their daughter. So what that means is when that times comes for them to apply for citizenship or renew their permanent residency with this police record, she's going to be deployed out of the country and leaving their 11-year-old daughter either stay with dad in Canada, not be able to see mom for a long extended period of time, or go home to China with mom and leaving dad, not be able to see her for extended period of time. I was not a student of transformation or any of those lovely stuff yet at that time, but there was enough love in me for me to say, heck no, I cannot to let her experience this. That was the only reason I did not file for police report. And nowadays, with our awareness, I know that was divinely, and I'm very grateful for that, because that wouldn't make peace for me. So that was my story. That was my dark night. As you talked about the first phases of this entire standing firm journey, it lasted for a long time. For the following year and a half, I was in and out of depression, in and out of those moments of fear, anger, frustration, and that most definitely affected my relationship with my boyfriend back then. But still, there was a relationship. Eventually, I saw some counselors, and there were days that was really good. It was easy. It was lovely. There were days it was very, very hard. I just literally wanted to grab a knife and find wherever she is and do things that was not legal. And I would imagine those things. And yet I just kept, regardless, there was enough love. There was enough love in me. There was tremendous amount of love between me and my husband. And we continued to carry on. He proposed. I said yes. That was about a year later. And we continued to start to plan the wedding. And then 18 months later, after this particular instant, it was beautiful July day. For those of you who have never experienced Canadian summer, beautiful. So, and you're welcome. It was beautiful July day. I left one location of my office. I was driving to another location for a meeting. It was in the middle of the day. Oh, the sun was beaming on me. I was like, wow, life is good. Life's good, man. And I was driving. Suddenly I had a just epiphany out of blue, which was, I am so grateful for what she did. I was like, who said that? No, I'm not. Yet that voice was very calm, I was not thinking about this instant at that particular point, yet it just showed up. I'm so grateful for what she did, because knowing my husband, he is a very, very family guy. For whatever reason, they went through their separation because they were not meant to be together anymore. If his ex-wife did not do what she did, and she came back saying, please come back to the family, let's work on this, my husband would have said, yes, I'll do that, even though he didn't, there's no love left, no romantic love left. And for that was my first awareness, it's light bulb to say, I am so grateful for what she did. It's good. It is so good. That gave me so much peace. That gave me so much, all right, this big heavy thing on my shoulder. And of course, I no longer think about grabbing a knife, find wherever she is and do things to her, because I have this peace. And I start to have more and more respect towards her, as their daughter has spent most time with her. Eventually, she did move back to Beijing when she was about 14, 15 years old, because her mom found a great job in Beijing, and then they all moved back, and then life moved on. We got married. Now we had Alex, our son, and then 6 years later, another vision came true, which is our daughter, Marilyn. And Judy, you all know all those stories, and you've seen her. And the more I really grown myself, and to understand the power of gratitude, to understand the importance of forgiveness, to understand the work of looking for good. Everything is good as long as we are open to look for it. If we're open to look for it, we are going to find it, guaranteed, regardless of the circumstance, situation, or condition. And years passed. I remember at one point, my bonus daughter turned 17. Maybe she's older. She's 19. She's 19 at this point. She was 19. She started university at the University of Albany in New York. I know. So she applied university in Albany. She got in. She was doing her university. This was after her first year. And my husband went to pick her up and spend a few days at our place. And they were talking about, she's relating a message from her mom in China. And my husband got a bit upset. I was like, why can't she just, reach out to me? And I told him, let's not be upset. And what about let's focusing on how wonderful of a job she did for all of those years your daughter has been with her. She's amazing. This girl grown up to be a very responsible, kind, calm woman. If mom had meddled anything in there, do you think she would show up here in our house with her half brother in this demeanor, there is an alternative that is gratitude. And that is something shifted in my husband. He's like, oh, yeah, you're right. I was like, you are welcome. And I have a wonderful relationship with my bonus daughter. She's brilliant. She spent 2 years in University of Albany and then applied for transfer to gosh, on top of my tongue, the really famous Berkeley, Berkeley College of Music, and that's where she did her undergrad, finished her undergrad, and now she's living in a very dynamically amazing life in New York, and that is the life we get to build. You know, all of the goodness we received is all coming from the good. Everything in our life, you had said it, the content of our life is the curriculum of our evolution. The content, that was one content. I could walk away forever as a victim. And people would never say you're not right to be a victim. People will say, I would never run out of people to agree with me to say, yes, you're definitely a victim. Whatever she did was wrong. You're a victim. She did that to you. Or I could walk away with the gift that's in it for me. I grown stronger. I grown wiser. I grown with the ability and awareness to create beautiful life for myself. And I'm genuinely wishing her life to be flourishing, to be beautiful, to be all of the goodness that she deserves. I have that peace of mind because I chose to harvest the good in whatever that happened.
Wow. You know, I just want to appreciate the fact that, you know, thank you so much for the story. I had no idea. That's why I love these, so you really get to know people's
Yes.
stories. But I want to acknowledge you for being a role model for your two children as in this part of your life, because you had that content, you now at this stage of your life of parenting,
Right.
parenting a 2-year-old and an 8-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
as a grandma who's, and I have my adult children who have been through content and still are content. But I love the fact that being in this work, my daughter calls me, she's 40, and well, actually, my granddaughter's 10 and my grandson's 20 now. And at any rate, when she calls me, like, we immediately go, because what's good today? She goes, well, my car broke down yesterday. And I go, oh, great. She goes, yes, I'm so grateful. I have the money to buy a new battery. And she went immediate to gratitude. And I'm like, that is a trained practice, isn't it, Lynn?
Absolutely.
It's a
Absolutely.
practice, daily practice. And as a parent, isn't it amazing how strong the next generations will become when everybody's going to have content.
Yep.
There's no
Yes.
escaping the content.
Yes.
But you're
Yes.
giving them tools by modeling.
Yes.
I'm also a retired, in my past life, I was a school teacher, and I would see so many different ways of parenting, and I would sometimes take the parents aside and say, hey, we've got this, go have some Starbucks. And,
Mhm.
and also believing and have that internal faith that there is something happening internally here for our growth.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I want to know, one, like, where I just boom, where what I really want to do, for thank you for being part of this series, but what is it that our community of paradigm shifters, and we are, like I said, 55 or 56 countries now globally, what would you love to have us hold for you and your
Thank you.
family, you personally, whatever it is you love? We want to hold space for you.
Thank you.
What would you love?
I would love to take this to China. I would love to regain, retrain myself with my mother tongue of Mandarin and really be able to articulate all of this content fluently in Mandarin. That has been, as a matter of fact, this dream, this sparked 4 years ago, and in a training that I know you have been called Pinnacle. And the first time I was in Pinnacle, this idea sparked that I would love to be, back then it was, I would love to be the Chinese version of Mary Morrissey. Then I realized Mary Morrissey doesn't want me to be Mary Morrissey. Mary Morrissey wants me to be Lin Yuan-Su. I've grown since then. And this spark has never left me. It's only getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And this now has become this flame that is truly a burning desire. I know China is ready. I know deep down, even though we have different costumes, we look differently, yet deep down where all the truth is the same, we're spiritual being navigating our own individual human experience. Love wins. Love is the fundamental, and that is however we express that. As a culture, Chinese people are not very known for express love physically. Like, we don't hug, we don't kiss, we don't say I love you. I said I love you to my parents once. They had never said they love me in my entire life. Not that we hate each other. That's just how we be. We're normal Chinese people. And I would, not that I want all Chinese suddenly to become huggy or I love you, whatever. It's just for all of us on the humanity to bring our awareness of our own individual love, our own connection with love to a whole other level of consciousness and awareness. This world is going to win big time.
Wow.
Please hold that with me for me.
Wow. Okay. All right. You got this. Okay. So what we're gonna do is, yes, you got this. The receiving. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about how your receiving has grown over the years. Receiving the energy. You're such a giver. What? Yeah, because you're about to receive love from our community for your vision of taking this work.
Thank you.
And guess who it's really important who does it? You.
Thank you. Yes. I love this work. I know, you're the same way, Judy, is we love this work. I have a continues to build, just like you are, my own practice with English first, right? English. I learned this in English. The understanding is in English. I can articulate in English very well. And it's continuously to pour into people who are ready. My intention for me sharing story through your channel is simply, even just one person, they're able to let go of something that has been heavy for them. Even just one person to be able to say, I finally have enough awareness for me to lean into my dream, my vision. If one person says, my gosh, all of those coaches sounds a lot of fun, and I'm going to knock at Judy's door, say, hey, you take any more clients? And whatever it is, that is my intention, for awareness doors to be open, windows to be open in awareness, in human consciousness. And that those doors and windows, guess what's also flowing through is love. And we're winning.
Okay, so we're going to get our energy going here. Awesome. And your job is to receive. You're the receiver. Now, hang on, let's take it. And we're going to Canada, which is way up north for me. You're ready? Whoosh.
Receiving. Graciously.
Thank you so much for everything you're doing. This is so much fun. And also, so specifically for the standing firm when your world was shaking, having courage to tell your story full circle. And yes, so wow.
Yeah.
Dream big, dream boldly.
Yes.
Brilliantly. Oh, oh wow. Over and out. Thank you so much.
My honor and privilege. Thank you, Judy.